Alexa, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and officially kick this off.
I'm ready.
All right, glad to have you here today. You're going to be learning about how to build the buzz and launch your book. Some of you want to relaunch a book. The great thing about these strategies are that they're principles that you can apply, whether it's a new book, existing book. And Alexa is a USA Today best-selling author, publisher, and book marketing strategist. As founder of Write, Publish, Sell, she helps authors launch impactful books and build long-term marketing strategies that drive sales. Alexa specializes in creative, data driven approaches to publishing and audience growth with a focus on turning books into thriving businesses. And I've had Alexa on a number of times before. If you've seen her train and teach, or you've seen us do something in the past, we have a new training here today, so revamped a bit, so you might get some new insights. And of course, you can ask your questions, as I mentioned, in the question box. And I'm excited about this. Always get great feedback from Alexa's training. So with that, I'll pass it off to you, Alexa.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Derek. I really appreciate, as always, being invited in front of your community. Some of the things that you posted in the chat we will cover. Others are a bit more in depth and we probably will not get to today. But if I have time in the Q&A, I'm happy to spend as much time as I can to try to get all your questions answered. So I'm going to start a slideshow in a moment here, but just before that, a lot of people come into marketing a little bit scared of it, and that's, totally normal. Marketing is a job, it's a profession, it's something that people do a lot of coursework and training, and as writers, whether we're writing fiction, nonfiction, children's picture books, or all of those things, we're creatively thinking about the content that we want to create for our books, but not necessarily the content that we want to create to sell those books or to engage with readers. And so that it's actually a very different training and skill set. But what I want you to realize is that marketing at its just boiled down to the very basics is about creating relationships and creating meaningful moments and evoking emotion or some kind of sense. If you just think about commercials, a Taco Bell commercial is meant to make you want to run out and go get Taco Bell. A company that might do like life insurance policies or something is going to be very heartfelt, loving family moments. They're evoking those senses. So, at a very basic, when you're thinking about how to market your book and how to create this vibe or this feeling or these emotions for potential readers, think about what your book does for people. And it's very different across each genre. You might be teaching them something, you might be helping them to overcome something, you might be teaching children something as simple as colors and shapes, or something more like social emotional learning or higher level concepts. You might be teaching reading skills. You might be making people laugh. Oh my gosh, I totally got into romantic comedies during COVID because my genre before that I preferred was historical fiction, largely set in World War II, and I couldn't take the heaviness during that time of my life. So I wanted to laugh. It was an escape for me. So I was looking for books that created funny, silly, yes, totally unrealistic, but just had a good time reading them. Right now, I'm on a total thriller, horror, suspense kick. Like that's all I want to read and that's all I want to watch. I don't know why, but I want to be scared right now. So, you have to know what it is that your book is doing for people and creating those feelings for them. And if you keep that at the top of your mind, marketing becomes a lot less scary when you're just thinking you're creating relationships and you're evoking the feelings that you want people to have when they're doing their book. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. If you have questions, again, put them in the chat box. I don't like to look at questions because I get very easily distracted, and we don't need to go down on bunny trails because I have a lot to share with you. Also, I am going to be talking about my program, Book Launch in a Box, at the end. Don't want that to be a surprise. I promise you're going to get, oops, I'm doing the wrong thing. I promise you're going to get great information from this presentation. But if you're looking for more support and want some other information, stick around. I have a special offer, especially for those who are here and live and part of the training. Okay. So I used to call this the Smash Your Book Launch webinar. It's still Smash Your Book Launch, but I'm digging deeper into other types of things. How to create a high impact book launch using intelligence gathering approach. And you might think, "Oh my gosh, that sounds just gross." But I'm pulling together my background, which for those of you who, these are my companies, by the way, these I have several publishing houses. I have the Women in Publishing Summit and Write Publish Sell. Um, and this is my background, and this is where it ties in. I used to be, and people laugh when they hear this. Yes, I was in counterterrorism and I was an intelligence officer in the Air Force. And I had to gather a lot of information about all the things that were happening and put them together into briefs for our fellow pilots, for our officers, for our decision makers about what the landscape looked like that they were going into. And I'm currently, I promise all of this is going to relate together, but remember, telling stories, bringing these things forward. We're storytellers, so use that in your marketing. I'm in an entrepreneurship program with all veterans right now, and one of the books was talking about as veterans begin their businesses or grow their businesses, how important it is to use the intelligence gathering skills that we all learned in the military. And I started thinking to myself, I was like, there's a strong correlation here between what we're doing as we are building our marketing, our book marketing profiles, building out our target reader, building out our metadata, and all the things about our book that we need for a strong marketing plan and intelligence gathering. And I thought, wouldn't that be fun for me to pull together my past world and my current world and talk about it from that perspective to change things up a little bit? Because in a way, building your marketing strategy is kind of like it is not kind of like it is very much about digging deeper into the genre, the people, the readers, the reactions, the emotions, all the things. So you are collecting intelligence from which you are going to create analysis and you're going to take action on. So I hope that's not too far. I told Derek before we started this, I was like, I've just totally revamped this. This is either going to totally flop as a concept or it's going to go over well. So bear with me. So and then I have all of these other accolades here that are why I'm the person who can teach you, not as an intel officer, but as a marketing consultant and as a publisher. I've been doing this. I've written in multiple genres. I have a children's picture book press. I've basically been there, done that across the whole spectrum. And I just love, love, love helping authors make sure they don't make a lot of expensive mistakes and see the rewards from a successful book launch so that you reap the rewards of all the hard work that you've put into. I'm also a mom. I have 3 teenagers that keep me on my toes. All right, so our game plan today, we're going to talk about the intelligence, what that intelligence is and why you shouldn't skip it, how to gather the right intelligence when it comes to that, and using that information to create your marketing strategy. If you do not know the words marketing strategy and you want to be a successful author, you need to start using that and just making it a part of your vernacular. Because as an author, you need to market your book, and we're not just gonna throw things out there. We're going to do things that make sense. Now, there is always a little bit of testing in marketing. That's how you learn what works and what doesn't work for your audience. But you want to have a strategy behind the tests that you're doing. We're going to run through a few case studies because seeing what other people are doing, I think, is the most impactful way to talk about that, how to get in front of your readers and reviewers and building your author platform. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about Book Launch in a Box, which starts next week, and then we're going to go into our Q&A. All right, so overview of all of these things. Not only have I gathered intelligence on my own books, but over the years of watching and participating in launches across a wide spectrum of genres, you start to see some patterns and some themes and some things that work, some things that work for certain kind of books and audiences, and some things that just never ever work, and I don't know why people keep doing them. But for the most part, that's a smaller category, and that usually comes from not doing your due diligence ahead of time. But research, analysis, and preparation, these are the skills that will make you so much better at launching your book and at relaunching your book and at continuing to market your book beyond, because it's not just about the initial launch. One of our fellow attendees today said they want information on relaunching because they haven't seen the results that they'd like. Someone else said it's a 1 year book anniversary and they want to do some things. So, as you know, once you've been out there in the field for a little while, marketing does not stop at launch. It continues for as long as you want to see sales in that book. And the key thing that I'm just going to give you the takeaway right here up front before we go any further. Most book launches fail not because the book isn't good, not because there isn't a great cover, not because sometimes that's the reason, but it's largely because they didn't have a plan, but more importantly, they skipped all the intel gathering. They skipped all the information collection and the analysis and just kind of threw it out there, or didn't have a long enough runway to launch that baby into the world into a way that really created a strong foundation. So what I want to do today is show you that if you think more about the pieces of gathering information and looking at that information, and it doesn't have to be as overwhelming and scaring. You don't have to write a thesis or anything. You don't have to have a huge, briefing for everybody. But what you do need to have is some key things that you know and understand that you can implement in your growth. And we're going to talk about those things that will help you get more impact and increased visibility. All right, so I'm going to open up the chat box so I can see your answers here. Whoopsie. But I want to know, how much time have you spent thinking about where your book fits in the marketplace? Not your marketing strategy overall, but just where your book fits in the marketplace. Oh, yay, I've got a DC folk and folk per good misspeaking words. Okay, we're at ground zero, Air Force vet. Yay. Okay, hours, many hours, a couple hours of focused thinking, a few hours, years, a lot, a ton of time, weeks. Okay, so we've got some people that have been thinking about it for quite a bit, and other people who maybe haven't. And the next question I want to ask you is, if you haven't, is it because, well, why? Is it because you didn't know that you needed to think about the marketplace? You're brand new and this isn't a concept that you have, or is it just because somebody's told you that you can just launch your book and then market it afterwards? Or what stopped you from thinking about those things? Trying to get the writing done. That's a big reason. And what I want you to think about today through this, I want to call it a briefing. It's not a briefing. Through this presentation is how you can start thinking about your marketing throughout the writing thing. And really, when it comes to the intelligence gathering, I know that's going to get kind of old here, so we'll talk about it in a book marketing term. When it comes to positioning your book, it is about thinking about these marketing things, these factors, these readers, these genre expectations, and all of those things while you're writing your book. Because if you're doing your positioning well, those types of things can change the way you write your book, what content you put in it, I don't know if you've ever done an assessment, had an assessment done of your manuscript, and you thought you were writing a romantic comedy, and the thing came back and told you that it thought that your book was, I don't know, something that's not a romantic comedy, a horror book. That would be really, really bad. But there are times when you think you're writing to the norms of the genre, and you're not following the right beats, you're not following the right story arc, or maybe you think you've written a great how-to for designing websites, or how to set up a financial plan for beginners, and as it turns out, you actually wrote really, really complicated concepts in there because you've forgotten what it's like to be a beginner, and you're thinking about somebody who's intermediate or down the road. So when you're thinking about your target audience, when you're thinking about how you market the book, when you're thinking about how it's positioned, all the things, it will help you structure and write your book. So that's what I want you to change kind of your feelings about marketing. If you've thought marketing starts after the book, about why you need to start earlier thinking about those things, but it doesn't have to be to the point that it stops you from writing. Because that's what I always tell people. I'm like, if your marketing is overwhelming you so much that you're not writing your book, then just go back to writing your book, because you can't market a book that you've never written. Period, point blank. It's as simple as that, right? focused on finishing the draft. Wow, Megan, 33 years might be a record. No, I did hear of one author who was working on a book for almost 50 years. That's a long time. Okay. So, thinking about your mindset, your intelligence mindset for authors, this is basically just boiled down to having a strategic, research driven approach to book marketing, which I know because I am a creative, a big picture, big ideas, la la la, all the things. I don't know why I love stats as much as I do, really. It's kind of an anomaly, but I do like data. I like looking at what's working, what's not, what can happen, all of those types of things to help me save my time and money. Really, that's what it boils down to. I don't want to waste time and money because I don't have a lot. If you've ever watched a military movie, you can see the guy with the like automatic weapon going out there, spray and pray, baby. That's not what we want to do with our marketing, right? We want we want it to be, we don't want to throw spaghetti at the wall. We don't want to spray and pray. We want to make sure that we have very a plan, a strategy, and a way to do this. And the cool thing is, it can be done like there's best practices across the board that really will apply for everybody. And the biggest piece of that is visibility and creating buzz and creating relationships, finding the reader. When the reader's at the center of your strategy, it's a lot easier. Okay, then smart preparation. In order to do that, in order to show up in front of the reader in the right way, you have to know not only who the reader is, and I'm not talking about these avatars that people tell you to do, who's your ideal client, I want to know where they shop and how many kids they have and what color their car is. That's not what I'm talking about. And for nonfiction authors, it might be. Those might be critical pieces of information for your audience. But for most of us, it's more like, what types of books do they read? Like, do they want rom-com and do they want them to be clean or closed door? Or do they want spicy romance? Or do they want thriller? Or do they want this type of thing? And then getting that information by going out and looking at the key pieces, what other authors are writing and promoting, what's selling well, what the covers look like, what the descriptions read like, what categories they're performing well in, what readers are saying about the books, what readers like about the books, what readers don't like about the books, where readers are talking about those books. Are they reviewing them in places like Goodreads or Book Sirens or NetGalley? Are they talking about them in forums? Are there book club events that they're doing? Like, where are those things happening for your reader? And that's where you start to really get the information that's going to help you show up in front of those places. And also, there's a lot of tools that can help you get in front of them. So I think, someone asked about social media tactics. Social media is important. I do think so, but I also think that you can be a successful author without using social media a lot. The key with social media is I kind of tell people to think about it like a yellow pages listing. If somebody's out there talking about books and their place that they like to post book reviews is Instagram, they'll try to tag you if they've enjoyed that book. So you want them to be able to tag you, and when people see that tag and go to follow you, you want it to be very clear that you're an author of XYZ genre, and here's a link to your book sales page or your website or your freebie or whatever. So that's a great way to use social media as your yellow pages, but also you can use the other people as leverage. And we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. So the positioning, all of these things are part of positioning. That's what we've been talking about, is how you position your book in the marketplaces by finding out where it sits and what kind of information you need to have to make sure that it shows up in those right places so that the people who are looking for books of that nature can find it. And your metadata plays a key part in that. If you've got a book cover that looks like a murder mystery, but it's actually a sci-fi, that's a problem. That's a big piece of positioning that's automatically going to get you wiped out from people looking at your book because they're going to be confused. So those are the types of things that are really important. All right. Again, I may have said some of the stuff that's on the slides because this is a brand new presentation. So if some of this is a repeat, I'll just quickly go over it. But the key broken down into little bullet points here, the key things that you need to gather and know before you launch are your book strengths and market fit. And Pam Shepard, one of our guest experts through the Book Lunch in a Box program, she started off as a bookseller. She actually went to bookstores and sold books for large publishers, and she is now an editor, and she helps with all the things: hooks, log lines, descriptions. She does analysis. She's a just monumental figure in the indie publishing world, and she likes to tell people to gather their book's assets. What are the things about your book that make it an asset in the marketplace? Is it really, like, the themes throughout the book, or the things that make it unique? Or the things that make it fit in, because sometimes we don't want to be unique. And there's a very specific formula in romantic comedy, and your book better fit that formula or people aren't going to like it. So sometimes your assets are that it follows, the story arc, that it has these tropes. We talk about tropes a lot in the fiction world. You want to make sure that you're utilizing the tropes that are expected and all of those types of things. So how does your book stand out when readers are having it? How does it appeal to those target readers? And how can you gather information, i.e., from pre-readers, from reviews, from all of those types of things, to use what other people are saying to help you show new readers that your book fits with them within the market? And that flows right into knowing your genre, the readers, and the category expectations. There is nothing worse than posting your book out there and just having people tear it apart because the description and the cover don't match people's expectations of what they're going to get. You see these all the time. And this is, again, why some of that intel and research is happening through the process of advanced readers. So you can get some of those issues figured out before you publish. But if you are in a genre and you do not meet the expectations of the genre, your readers will be very mad. And I'm here to tell you that there's not a whole lot of second chances if you come out the gate with a book that people just absolutely hate, unless you change your name and start writing under another name. So let's not go through all of that. Let's do the work ahead of time and make sure that we're coming out with a book that people like, that fits the expectations of the genre, and fits in with the competitive landscape. So how are other authors performing in this genre? What types of things are they doing? What's selling well right now on the and I write primarily nonfiction, but I also have a series in romantic comedy. So it's one that I refer to a lot on the fiction side. But right now, for some reason, hockey romance is like the big thing. Everybody's writing hockey romance books. Why? I don't know, but we're all into hockey right now. So those things that are happening, that now, I'm not saying everybody throw out your existing manuscript and go write a hockey romance. Like, it has to be something that you can write well and do well. But you can write to market if you have the flexibility to do so, and capture those trends and what's doing well and what readers are loving, or stay away from the things they're hating. And then knowing how to talk to your audience. So as I mentioned in the very beginning, writing a book and writing sales copy are two very different skill sets. They're two very different structures, very different things. So when you're talking to your book, you have to be making it something, you have to be creating your messaging in a way that resonates with them, that makes them feel something, that is evoking emotion, and makes them want your book, not just need your book, but want your book, and then want to go tell other people about your book too. Bottom line, unless you're famous and we just didn't know who you were when you're in here, you're unknown. Now, we all like to think that we are the big fish in our own little seas, but outside of your community, nobody knows who the heck you are. There are millions of books being published every year. How in the world would you think that someone's just going to stumble upon your book and decide to buy it and then leave a raving review and do all these things if you've done no work to be discoverable, for them to know how and where and to find your book? You've got to market yourself. You've got to market your book. And that does not always mean going out and making TikTok videos. In fact, for most of us, that will not be a thing. Now, maybe you're getting to know book talkers so that they can talk about your book. But, in reality, you are finding the tactics to become discoverable by showing up in places, by creating content, by putting your book in places where readers will find it. So, like prior to the launch, Book Funnel, NetGalley, Book Sirens. There's all kinds of tools that you can use to put your book out there into the world to pre-launch readers, so that people can start finding them, seeing them, and reading them and talking about them. And then once your book is published, there's all kinds of companies. Written Word Media is my favorite. They have done the hard work of growing readers who want your genre, and you buy a slot, you discount your book or make it free, and they send it out to their entire list of 100,000 however many readers who want your genre, who will go get it, read it, download it, do all those things. You can use lots of tools to make yourself discoverable. I know Derek does all kinds of training um, on how to the viral giveaways and how to grow your email list and all of those types of things, so that you are creating your platform and people are knowing about you, even if it's not me as Alexa Bigwarfe out there, everybody knowing about me, but them knowing about the book because they've seen it, they've read it, they've reviewed it, they've done all of those types of things. Okay. Ah, sometimes my Google gets away from me. I've got a whole lot more, but just a few tips here, just just some things to think about. You want to start your marketing or preparing for your launch way, way, way early. I'm already thinking about my launch plan for my holiday romantic comedy that I've written 6 chapters for, but I have my full marketing strategy ready to go. Now, some of you might think that's kind of silly, but it motivates me too, because I'm so excited about the things that I can do if I give myself enough time to do them, that it's encouraging me to go back and write the book and finish writing the book. But start thinking about how you're positioning the book, what you might do, different things that you can take advantage of, holidays, events, special days, awareness days, back to school, beach reads. January is all about starting fresh and starting anew. So if you have health tips or journals or any of those types of things, you have to be thinking about those as you're writing them. That will also impact your timeline for production and all of those. A strong launch begins months and months and months and months. This is why with Book Launch in a Box, I actually prefer that people are still in the writing process or have at least 3 months before launch. Of course, anyone can join, but it's going to be most effective if you have the time to build up these assets and to do these things. And because we ask people to start so early so that they're learning the concepts with enough time to think about them, we allow people to come back through the program year after year and come to the Q&As and come to the things at no additional charge. So, once you're in, you're in. And then build your audience with help. Leveraging other people's audiences is massive. When you talk about how do you get in front of readers, are you making relationships with other authors? Are you becoming friends? Are you in groups with other authors? Are you doing things to collaborate and cross promote? Your other authors are not your competition. They are your collaborators. Yes, technically they're their competition, but let's not get in the weeds of the semantics. How many, if you like a book on a certain topic, you're never going to just buy one. You're going to buy all of them, right? I cannot tell you how many books I have set in World War II in Paris. I just, every time one comes out, I buy it. So we're not here to compete against each other because people want to read all the books. I have about 50 books on Hashimoto's and autoimmune diseases and thyroid stuff and all of that because that's of interest to me. So, you're not just going to stop at the one book, but when you combine your efforts together, collaborate, share each other's stuff, reviews are tricky because there's things there, but do what you feel is right. But, build those audiences, leverage other influencers, leverage sites, written word media. Thank you for whomever put that up there. They do free Booksy and bargain Booksy and are just constantly adding new services and all of those types of things. So when we come together, we help each other out. And there are just some cool, cool, cool things. Went backwards there. All right. Why do I have 3 to 6 months as a kind of my window? Now, this is 3 to 6 months, I say, from the time your book is formatted. And a lot of people freak out. They're like, the book is formatted. I want to load it to Amazon and push publish tomorrow. Well, you can, but I don't advise it. And even with those of you who are what's called the rapid launchers, which I did take that part out of my presentation, I used to go through the 4 different types of launches, but rapid launchers basically mean your marketing is essentially publishing another book. So some of you will be, but there's still a process in there of ARC teams and, your review teams and all those kinds of things that go into that. But you can get faster when you have a lot of books that are coming out and they're doing the bulk of your marketing. That being said, your first book or two, you're still going to want to have the lead and build up to that because nobody knows who you are. That 3 to 6 months is critical in doing all the things that you don't have time to do while you're writing and editing and producing your book. So once you have a manuscript that's been formatted, you can start sharing it with people. You can start submitting it for reviews. You can start submitting it for trade reviews. You can start submitting to editorial sites or awards and contests and things like that that will help build momentum around your book. So one of the things people struggle with launching and then marketing is that once your book is published, it's old news. Sorry, that's just like for all the people. Now you can still pay for reviewers and you can still use influencer reviews and all that kind of stuff. But when we're talking about the big sites that want to talk about books that are coming out, like say you really want to be in the New York Times book review or something of that nature. Like once your book is published, it's old news because anybody can get access to it. They are looking for content that nobody's read before so that people will read their reviews. So think about that when you're looking at the places to market your book when they're going to want to do that. Start that ARC team early, start building them, start growing them. Now, listen, Amazon just made a big change that's got people losing their whatever, losing it because they have changed how often they're going to be updating the rankings, which if your whole marketing strategy is on sending everybody to Amazon and getting up to number 1 in a category and hopefully getting some organic traction from all of that, like it's going to be, they assess it's going to be harder to do that now. And this is why having a team of people that already had your book and are prepared to go out there and leave reviews and already know about your book and you built an email list and you have those people, you don't need to worry so much about getting the organic traffic from Amazon and getting the push that Amazon's going to give you because you've done that work and it's not going to matter if you're number 1 or 6 or 487,000 because your people are going there. And as they go to your book and as they leave reviews and buy copies of your book, you'll start gaining traction. So, whoopsie, gosh, y'all, this mouse is so sensitive. Okay. We already talked a bit about leveraging influencers and communities, so I'm not going to go much more into that. But basically, there are companies that can help you do this if you don't have time to do it, or you can start creating those relationships yourself. When I use social media under my my fiction author name, I'm not out there really creating content very much at all. I'll post some things from here from time to time, but usually what I'm spending my time on is I'm two things. I'm going to other authors that write in the same genre and I'm commenting on their things so that my name pops up, but I'm also commenting on the comments of other people. I'm looking at their profiles and I'm saying, "Oh, this person reviews romantic comedy. Follow." And then I go to their page and I spend a little bit of time commenting on their things. That's what I spend my time because it puts me in front of those folks. It starts creating a relationship. And then I can message them and I can say, "Hey, I also write romantic comedy. Would you like an ARC copy? I'd be happy to send you one." And that's how you build those relationships and visibility. Using pre-orders strategically. There's a million different ideas around whether you should or shouldn't pre-launch, how to do it, when to do it, all those things. Here's my very simple response to it. If you're doing the work to talk about your book ahead of a time, you darn well better have a place where people can find your book if you're marketing before your launch. So if you're out there spending a whole bunch of time on podcasts or writing content or doing anything and your book isn't on pre-order, you've lost an opportunity for someone who hears you to go back. Now, you can also do a free gift where you send, this is probably the best option, send them to your website, give them a free download and get them on your email list. But some people, I listen to like Brene Brown or different things all the time. If she interviews a really interesting person, I go straight to my ordering place and I put in the order right away because I don't want to forget about it. So that's an advantage of pre-orders. Most indie authors aren't going to see a lot of pre-orders, but at least the book is there. So if you're talking about it and people find out about it, they may not remember your name, but they might remember the name of your book or something like that and go out and grab it. So it's up to you. We could spend all day debating whether or not to do pre-orders and how to do them and all those types of things. With many marketing tactics, it's about finding what works for you. And again, we go back to your strategy. So if your strategy is getting out there and doing a lot of talking to people who might want to go buy the book right away, then have it on pre-order. This whole presentation has been about finding readers. So at the end of the day, you have to know who's going to want to read your book and why. That piece is what's really the important part about it. Why do they want your book? They may not need your book. They may need your book, but why do they want your book? What do they expect when they're going to get a book in that genre? And how do you know that those are the people who are reading their books and they like the things and all that kind of stuff? K-lytics analysis reports are phenomenal. I can't talk. Phenomenal. They will break down a category and all the things happening in that. That's a great one. NetGalley reviewers are harsh, but it's librarians and bookstore owners and hardcore readers. And sometimes some of the things that come back in them are absolutely ridiculous. And sometimes the things will help you, if you've done it in advance, to make some changes that will make sure you don't get those negative reviews from other people once it's published. Goodreads, make sure that all of these things are set up so that people can do that and are using these things. And of course, getting out there, the book review sites, trade review sites, social media, podcasts, all the things. Find what is good for you. You're probably going to need to have a couple modalities, but find a few things, work on them, and do the things. All right. I'm going to go through some of these pretty quickly. I limited down the case studies, but I do like to just kind of go through and talk about some of the authors in our community and what they're doing and how they've implemented these. So CC Robinson, she was hardcore, I'm going to be traditionally published, and over the years has decided to self-publish. And what she did to start building her audience was she launched a novella that was the first initial one. So she put that one out there and she started building her community. It launched her as she's now published author. She had her Goodreads, she had her Amazon author page. She started building her email list. And also she has a novella that's the prequel to her first book that started bringing readers in through book funnel giveaways, through other types of giveaways, et cetera, et cetera. So then when the rest of her series has started to come out, Divided, Upheaval, Upheaval is the prequel novella, but Divided and then Caged, and then she's got a third one that will be coming out before too long. She's already built a community of readers. She's built some name recognition, and some other things, and it's going to make it better as she goes through her series. She's also, when we talk about the assets that your book has, all of those editorial and trade reviews, reader reviews, book awards, all of those types of things, she's put this in the editorial review portion of her Amazon page. And these are great. If you're brand new to CC Robinson and you come to her Amazon page and you see these kinds of things, you're a lot more likely to purchase a book than someone who doesn't have anything. So this is another reason why starting early so that you can get these types of reviews, so that you can have accolades for your page is really key. And I mean, it just looks so great to see all of these out there. And just because it says editorial reviews does not mean it has to be from Kirkus or the New York Times. You can pull what you want to pull from it. Her key marketing strategy, again, connecting with readers, starting very early. She does a lot of outreach. She goes to in-person events. She does book festivals and she does panels. Those things work for her. Some people freak out when they hear those types of things and they don't want to be in person. So you have to find the things that you enjoy that will work for you. This is why podcasts are great for a lot of people because your face isn't there. It's edited. It's all the things, and you can go and talk to people who will help you market your book to their warm audience. Media campaigns. She hired a PR company. They did all kinds of stuff and just got her name everywhere. Some people don't have the budget to do that. So you can do those things on your own, but it takes more time and energy and commitment and getting in there and doing the research. Google is your friend. Pretty much any question you can ask me in here, you can also ask Google and you'll get a lot of different answers. The key is which one is right, which one works, all those types of things. Series. It really having a series, and this could be, it doesn't necessarily have to be a series like book one, book two, book three in a fiction series, but even like if you're writing nonfiction, having multiple books on key topics that you're an expert in, having lots of children's picture books, having more than one book, your backlist is going to make money for you and is going to make marketing easier and easier every time, because every time you publish another book, people are going to see the other books and come, and it will just grow. And I see this with my books now. I only have three in my series so far. The third one's on pre-order, but every time I do a marketing effort for one of the books, I see page reads increase and book sales increase on the other two books as well. So that's important. All right, another book that we just did. It's fully in Spanish. I include this one because not all marketing looks the same. And often you have to be very strategic in the type of marketing strategy that you implement. This is a very specific one. Now I kind of feel like we should rewrite this book with a whole bunch of like, it should just be a horror show with all of these, awful things happening. I'm just kidding. That might be a very funny joke to everyone. But this book was written completely in Spanish to be a tool to help children who are immigrating to the United States to adapt to the US. So her strategy has been largely librarians in areas with high Spanish speaking populations, border counties and schools, organizations that support nonprofits that support these books that come across. So it's not as much of finding advanced readers as it was finding organizations and places that would want to take this book, and of course, going for those trade reviews and those places that promote key books that are needed in the children's book world. So we almost always use the children's book review. They have a wide variety of scope in cost and programs that they do, but it's a great program for that. And then we also got a school library journal mention, which is huge, especially for the librarian market, which is really big for children's picture books. So again, thinking this is what we're talking about with the intelligence that you're gathering. Like, who's going to want this book? Where is it going to sell? This is not going to be a book that goes on Amazon and sells a million copies. It'll never be that book. But what organizations can we work with? Who can we make sure has this book? And how do we make sure it gets into the right hands? And I'll be going to the American Library Association again next week, and I'll be giving out copies of this book to librarians, especially those seeking full Spanish books that are completely in Spanish. So this just basically reiterates what I just said. So we're not going to go into much more to that, but we did get a lot of outreach on Instagram by going largely through Hispanic organizations, bloggers, and homeschoolers and things of that nature. Okay, on the nonfiction side, we just recently launched this book, Selling Your Expertise by Renee Rebar. Now, she she's already a business owner. She already has a very engaged community. And what she did was she included a group of her community as she wrote the book, seeking feedback and insights chapter by chapter. She would deliver them a chapter, and she also recorded her audiobook as after she got enough feedback to know she wasn't going to make edits and such. But throughout the process, she got feedback from her audience, which is her target audience and ideal reader. So that built this highly engaged advanced reader team because she offered some other incentives to them to participate and be a part of this. And her ideal reader actually helped her create the book so that she knew she wasn't going to miss the market when she put it out there. She did a whole bunch of fun launch stuff, lots of, I mean, her launch day activities just made me tired, but it was a phenomenal launch, and she was able to lean on the community that she already had while using some other tactics to outreach. She collaborated with other experts, so she helps female entrepreneurs grow their businesses. So she collaborated with a bunch of other entrepreneurs who have programs and freebies and courses and ebooks and things like that to create a bonus package for people that pre-ordered the book, so they get all these additional incentives. And also those other people helped marketing the book to their communities. So there's a lot of ways that you can do it. Each of those show you very different things across very different genres. But the key thing in all of them is knowing the target audience, knowing the genre, and having that information so that you can create a really good plan around it. And it did well. She did not just in, it wasn't just in the top new releases. She actually hit all the way to the top of the actual categories, and it was great. It did really well. All right. Just very quickly, this is an example of how you can use social media. So Kim is a parenting coach for teenagers and for parents of teenagers, and she has a very specific demographic. She goes on TikTok. She talks about her book all the time. Not her book, her like, do you have a teenager that's struggling through this? Are they having a hard time getting a job? Are they doing this? She just talks about her experiences and experiences that other people are having. And then as followers follow her, she has an automatic DM that goes back to them, says, hello, thank you for following me. I'm Kim, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I wrote a book all about this. And it's got the link to her book in there. So there are ways like that that you can just use straight audience growth to sell your book through social media. All right, so again, we talked about the Amazon changes to the categories updates. I mean, not the categories, the ranking updates, and we'll get more information as that comes out as to how that's going to impact us. As everything else comes out and people freak out, I say, just wait. All of these things wind up working themselves out. It'll be okay. We'll come up with other strategies to help us do well. And again, if you're focusing on building your readership and building your email list and doing all the advanced marketing ahead of time, you're not going to have to worry about trying to get to number one in, every hour on Amazon on launch day, because you'll have your own people already there ready to review and buy and support. Okay, I'm not going to read through all of these, but well, maybe I am. Basically, the common ground of people who are successful. It's research, it's getting in front of your readers, it's positioning the book well, it's becoming visible, it's getting out there, it's building your audience. And yes, this is a lot of work. You can also use paid advertising and marketing, and you will have to continue marketing. You can publish more books, you can go do speaking engagements, you can start a YouTube channel, you can start a podcast. There's all kinds of ways. You can go on podcasts. There's lots and lots of ways to continue to increase that visibility, but you have to keep working at it. And it has to come from a plan that can be adjusted. It doesn't have to be a very, you can modify your plan, but a good plan that's going to get you through these things. And just know that if you do this well with your first and maybe second book, it just becomes a repeatable process that just grows and grows and grows and grows. And it will get easier with every book that comes after that. Just like writing, the books becomes easier the more you write. The common mistakes that lead to failures are people waiting until the very end, just period. That is the biggest mistake with marketing. Waiting until the end to start doing anything and not thinking about your reader and your genre and the assets, the book marketing profile, all those types of things, your metadata, all the things that make the book what it is, not thinking about those in the process of writing your book and producing your book so that you make sure that everything lines up with the expectations. And no plan. If you don't have a plan, you're going to fail. Okay. This is my comprehensive launch strategy that we teach about in Book Launch in a Box, my program. 6 core concepts that we do 6 modules around. We start with the positioning of, well, we start with making sure that your book is sellable because that's important. Does it meet the expectations of the genre, have the right metadata? Does it have a cover that's going to sell, all those types of things. Then we move into positioning, and then we just talk about how you create buzz, how you build your audience, how you get reviews, how you market to retailers, what you need to know timeline wise, because there are some important timeline factors. Like if you want certain types of reviews or certain types of placements for your book, you have to have done X, Y, and Z. And if you don't do them in a time frame, anyway, that's hard to just talk about like completely. Anyway, there are timelines that have to be followed. How much advanced readers fall in there, reviewers, advanced readers, all of those types of things, how to expand your reach and grow your audience, all the launch day and post-launch plans and checklists and tools and worksheets and all the things to help you gain visibility. All right, I'm going to talk about Book Launch in a Box in just a moment, and then at the very end, I will get to your questions. But the final takeaways: you don't have to call yourself an intel officer if you don't want to, but think like somebody who is growing a business as an author or enhancing your business with your books. If you're in the nonfiction side and growing your business, but think about what you need to be successful in the same way that if you were opening up a coffee shop, what are all, I'm sure you've heard about SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, thinking through those. What are the things you need to know to do better, and to grow? Marketing, gather that research, that data, analyze it, make a plan. It's a long game. It's not something that you can just do a blip here and a blip there unless you just want to pay people a lot of money to do things. And there are plenty of paid strategies that work really well, as well, but not all of us have a ton of money. And then, okay, see, I told you there might be some weird ones. I forgot to go back and change that. We're going to learn more about Book Launch in a Box right now. That's not a key takeaway. Okay, but you want to position your book for high impact and increased visibility by taking the action steps and doing the research to do that. It is definitely overwhelming. I just saw this pop up in the chat. That's why having somebody guide you through the process or joining a program, it doesn't have to be mine. There are lots of great people. Derek is in the book marketing field. There are lots of great experts out there, but have somebody help you, at least in the initial stages and phases. It's kind of like Facebook ads. If you try to go in there all by yourself and set it up, it's going to be very challenging and very hard. But if you hire an expert who helps you go out there, find the right audience, set up your ads the right way, help you know what to put in those ads, make sure all the data bits and the pixels and all those things are placed where they're supposed to place, and know all the things that you're not just going to know, then they can help you create those ads that you can duplicate and just change the graphics and things like that. So, being in community with people in general that can help you. And I find that the indie publishing world is a very generous place. So ask, make friends in your genre, make friends out of your genre, join communities, go to conferences, do all of those types of things. All right, so Book Launch in a Box is not really for the people who are using launches as their sole marketing experience. So if you're going quickly through, and rapid launching is a great tool, especially for those of you writing in series. But if you're new to that or not seeing sales yet, then that could be a great program for you. If you're already seeing a lot of sales, you don't need me. Reach out to me. I'll bring you in as a guest expert. If you just want to hire somebody to do everything for you, I strongly advise against that. I really do. Marketing, no matter how much money you pump into it, if the author's not doing anything or not engaged at all, maybe there's some examples of people who are doing well and are totally hands off. but they're probably famous. So you don't need my program though if you're just going to hire somebody. That's for sure. If you have no time for marketing, then this is not a program for you. And if you can join at any time, well, until Monday, that's when we are closing the cart. But it's best if you're not launching before August, although you'll have access to all kinds of stuff and you can come back through the program over and over and keep most of these concepts you can implement post launch or for your next book or any of those things. If you are ideally 3 to 6 months from launch, if you're willing to do some work, and keep in mind, you can also hire people to help you do some of these things. I just want you to know the concepts behind them. Most importantly, I want you to know what you don't know so that you can start thinking about it far enough in advance that you haven't missed the boat. If you have big goals, if you want to launch and you want to grow, we have members who have come back who are going good to go through Book Launch in a Box for their fourth time this year because they just keep re-implementing every time they do another book. And that's the big benefit of this program, along with many other things. And authors that have time to do the work or are willing to hire help to implement, and then authors who have or want a business with a business focused mindset. So you're in this no matter what type of book you're writing, children's book, rom-com, do DIY book, whatever it is, memoir, whatever. If you're trying to come in as an author entrepreneur and build a business with your books, then it's for you. Okay, y'all, I have a ton of wonderful, wonderful testimonials in here because people love our program. I'm not going to read them all to you. I'm going to tell you what's in it. And actually, I want to show you this is something that's new this year. I want to show you our digital workbook because it'll show you better what you're going to see in the program. And then I am almost done presenting and I will get to your questions. Okay, I'm going to share this one more time. I'm really proud of myself. I've worked very hard on this digital workbook, and this is what's going to direct the program with additional coaching, extra modules that are in our teaching platform, and all kinds of things. But this is a digital workbook that will guide you through the program. So you get access to this. It's a mix of videos, like we start with is your book marketable? We've got other like sub sets that you can dig in and you get more information on it. You've got checklists and terminology lists, all kinds of things to help you through it. And then our modules, I'm just going to show you quickly. We start with the book marketing foundation. What do you need to know to be set up for success? What do you need before you can even start marketing your book? And each one of these you drill into, and there's a whole bunch of other sections, worksheets, workbooks, checklists, timelines, the whole nine, videos, audio, it's all in here. Section 2, we get into the metadata and positioning the book in the marketplace, all the things you need to do that. Then we go into the pre-launch actions. This is the biggest module, tons and tons and tons of stuff on checklists and building buzz and building your ARC team and getting pre-launch reviews and working with influencers and more timelines and checklists. And then we move into launch day activities, then keeping the momentum beyond the launch, and then resources and next steps. So this is the digital workbook that comes with the program, and then we have additional modules, and we have live Q&As, and so on and so forth through the program. Okay, if you have specific questions, feel free to ask me about that. But these are the things and all the wonderful things that people say. Lots of bonuses. Sorry, y'all, I'm running out of energy. So this way, like you're like, this is the lamest sales pitch. She's like, "Oh, read the testimonials." It's a great program. I have put so much work in completely revamping it, and all of our previous attendees will get the new content and the new things. We've got guest speakers that come in. We've got social media experts. We've got checklists and email sequence templates, and I mean, just everything you can imagine we have thought of or we add into it. And so it's truly, I think, one of the most comprehensive, if not the most comprehensive, book launch preparation courses out there. And again, If you can keep on coming back to the Q&As, next year, if you're at a place where you need to come in there, we build out the book marketing profile. We have tons of bonuses. Um, it's just, it's a great program. I built the program that I wanted to have, as we often do as entrepreneurs, right? Okay, so, okay, we're not going to watch the video. Nicole talks for a few minutes about how amazing. I said we're not going to watch the video. Okay. All right. So the cost, most important question people have. It's $9.97 at its full price. And this is with 6 months of guided discussions, live training, guest experts, the digital workbook, all those modules of extra training, resources, tools, lists of people, etc. But basically, we have payment plans available. And for anybody watching the replay, you get 30% off with this link, and it applies to every single payment plan. So you can pay as little as $119